I told a white lie that ended with AC/DC sweating in my mouth. This is what happened. So I was probably about 21 years old and I was working as security, so crowd control. And they asked me and they said, hey, we want you to work this gig. This is the company I was working for. And they said, it's rock music. Are you into that? And I went, what does it pay? They told me the pay, it was sweet pay. And I was like, sure, I'm into rock music. But at the time, I was purely R&B and hip hop. So I grew up watching and loving Tupac, B.I.G., Ice Cube. You know, I even had durag on. I had 2 earrings. I was just hell into it. That's what I was into. So I hated anything to do with rock and roll. I was not into it at all. But when they told me how much they were going to pay me, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Right. And it was working at a stadium, or not a stadium, an oval with like 10,000 people there. That was what the number was expected to be. And so my job was to watch the stage and make sure people don't jump onto the stage. And so I'm there, I'm watching, and the crowds are coming in. And it's everyone you can think of, young, old, people wearing shorts, people in business attire, people wearing Bintang singlet, people with no teeth, people with lots of teeth, beautiful women, ugly women, mullets, no mullets, shoes, thongs, you name it. Everybody was there, and I just couldn't work out what all these people had in common, right? I didn't know who the band was. And then the show starts, and it's 10,000 people, and I'm watching the stage, and the show starts, and it's like, it was cold in the middle of the night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The whole crowd's going, and I'm watching going, what is going on, right? Everyone's just rocking. Remember, right until that moment, I had no idea what rock was really or what the experience was like. I've never watched a rock show. I've never listened to rock. I'm just there because I'm trying to get paid. And I'm watching everyone just rocking, right? And then the song comes on, She's Got the Jack. I think it's called She's Got the Jack, right? And I'm watching the screen because it was in front of me as well. And I don't know how the cameraman was doing it, but every shot they were zooming in, and it was just beautiful women on shoulders of men. And these women, with every shot that comes on the screen, they were just lifting their top up and their boobies were coming out. And I was like, what is going on? I saw what I saw, and they were all very beautiful, like models, right? And I was like, did I just see what I think I saw on the screen? I'm like, be professional. So I'm like looking down, and then it comes on again. Bam! Another boobie. Eventually, I'm looking at all security, and we're all looking at the screen, just waiting for another one, and bam, another one. And we all just started going, yeah, every time there was boobs on the screen. Yeah, right. We weren't even paying attention. And then the song comes on, Thunderstruck. It's like, Thunderstruck. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And everyone's just in unison, holding onto the gates and just like, everyone, the kids, I'm talking everyone. And the whole, you could feel the energy, the electricity in the room. And I was just there going, I was being converted in real time to becoming an AC/DC fan. I was just like, what is going on? Like, I don't have hair on me, right? Like, I'm a very hairless person. But man, when every single piece of hair in my body was standing up, I couldn't believe it. It was just like, what is happening to me? They're like, yeah, yeah, Thunderstruck. And then Angus, you know that leg jump that he does? He just starts skipping past me, and I'm watching him. He's just skipping, bam, 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 bam. I'm watching him skip, going, how is he doing that? And he's covered in sweat. I'm like, my mouth was wide open. It's like, all of a sudden, while he's doing that, a bit of his sweat just, bam, lands on my lip. And I was like, yuck. It's like in that moment, I came back to reality, and I was like, gross. And I was just like wiping my mouth. And I looked to my left. There was a lady that was just like staring at him as he was skipping past. And she was in love. She was pretty attractive too. And she was just watching him. And it's like she saw that sweat, bam, land right on my lip. Because as soon as I was like, oh, yuck, she looked at me and she's like, oh my God, you are so lucky. And I was like, what? Because an old man sweated in my mouth. Is that why? Is that why I'm lucky? I was like, no, thanks, lady. And then she pashed me. And I was like, please, Angus, sweat on me more. No, she didn't do that. But that was how I got sweated on in my mouth by AC/DC. That was a white lie that I told that put me in that position. And let's be honest, we've all told white lies before. If you're saying that you haven't told a white lie, that's a white lie in itself. Whether you said you're running late, or whether you said, "Oh, I'm on my way," or I couldn't text you back because I was driving, but you weren't. We've all told white lies, and they're harmless. We tell them to avoid hurting people's feelings. Did you guys watch that movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey? You know, he explains it beautifully to his kid when his kid's like, Daddy, why is it okay to tell white lies? And he's like, well, it's okay to tell white lies. It was my favorite bit. He goes, because you know when Mommy was pregnant with you, and then she asked Daddy, do I look good? And Daddy said, yeah, you look good. But really, Mommy looked like a fat cow. It's true. You can't tell her that. She looked beautiful. There's nothing wrong with telling white lies. I am a habitual white lie teller. I tell so many white lies. Just ask my partner. She'll tell you. So many white lies. I remember one time she comes home. I was washing the car and she tells me before she left, she goes to me, make sure you let the dog out to take a piss. I said, all right, no worries. I'll do that. Meanwhile, I'm busy cleaning the car and got music going. I completely forgot to let the dog out. She comes home. She goes in. She gives me a kiss. Everything goes inside. Then opens the door and she goes, babe, did you let the dog out to take a piss like I told you to? Now, I could have said, nah, I forgot. But I didn't want to hurt her feelings, you know? So I said, yeah, of course I have. I let him out. You told me to do it. I did it. Obviously, after I finished washing the car, I was going to sneak him out, you know, to take a piss. And she goes, oh, you have let him out. I said, yeah, of course. And she goes, okay. And she goes back inside. Meanwhile, I didn't know while I was washing the car, the dog was scratching the door inside to be let out so he can take a piss, right? So she opens the door and she lets him out. This dog is there for 2 minutes with one leg up, just for 2 minutes. And she looks at me and she goes, does this look like a dog that's been let out to piss already? That dog was pure evidence that I did a white lie. We tell them. She tells white lies as well. There's no harm in white lie. She tells them. Like, I remember when we get invited to go to events, and her friend messages her, are you on the way? She's like, yeah, we're on our way. We're so excited. Meanwhile, she's about to get into the shower to take a shower. We've all done it. We've all told white lies. I'm on my way. Oh, sorry. Now my white lies changed. So every time we're late, we just go, oh, sorry. It's the kid's fault because we got a 9-month-old. We go, oh, we're just going to, we were about to put her in the car. And we actually put her in the car and we're on our way. But then she did a poo explosion. So we had to go back inside and we had to change her. And you know how long that takes. Now, if you're talking to someone with no kids, they have no idea. So you can be like, took about 40 minutes to an hour, right? But if they have kids, they know exactly how long it took. So if you're like, oh, she had a poo explosion and it took us like 40 minutes, they're going to be like, no, buddy. Poo explosion takes max 10 minutes. And if it's everywhere, if you get some on your hands, maybe 11 minutes. So you can lie to non-parents because they have no bloody clue, but you can't lie to parents. But that's the white lie that we tell these days. But I wanted to do this podcast, white lies, because the biggest white lie that I've told, that's where the motivation from this podcast, that's where the motivation for this podcast comes from. Because the biggest white lie I've told in my life is my name. Because guess what, guys? Joe White is not my real name. Surprise. You're probably looking at me like, what? Maybe not you, but some people, when I tell them Joe White's not my real name, they're like, what? You mean your African parents didn't have you and go, yeah, he looks like Joe White? Someone said, you're in Australia, you should change your middle name to Super and you can become Super White. And I was like, no thanks. My real name is not Joe White. My real name, my Ethiopian name, because that's what I am. I am an Ethiopian man. My real name is Tilahun. Tilahun. It's a combination of two words. Tila meaning shade, shadow, shelter, and hun is like a command to become, to be. So be shadow, be shelter. That's what it means. In our culture, because in some cultures, shadow and shadow, shelter, all that stuff might symbolize like bad things. But in our culture, in Ethiopian culture, shadow and shelter, all that symbolizes like protection. So like you're the protector of your family, the protector of your community. That's what Tilahun means. And I switched it for average Joe. Tilahun. And if you want Ethiopians to be like, wow, you're really good at this when you pronounce it, you can't say Tilahun. In English, it's Tilahun because you don't have that noise. But if you want to impress Ethiopians, you have to say Tilahun. You have to make that noise. Tilahun. In Ethiopian alphabet, get this, guys. For every letter, right, we have 7 different pronunciations. So A is U, I, A, E, O. And B, B, Bu, B, Ba, Be, B, Bo. And C, same thing. Se, su, si, sa, se, si, so. We even have, just to make it a bit more complicated, we even have the letter A. So it's U, I, A, E, O. You gotta say it from here, right? I always wonder what it would be like if we had that game show in Ethiopia. You know that game show, The Wheel of Fortune? You know, where you guess letters and then you have to guess the word? I reckon that'd be fun in Ethiopia. You were just there like, can I please get a t, k, and a p? And then you're like, I would like to solve it, please. Did I get it right? No, it's the longer version. What about... We were the first to beatbox, I'm telling you. We didn't just discover coffee. We didn't just become the only, not just become, but we weren't always the only African country that wasn't colonized. I think there's one other African country. But we also discovered beatboxing. There you go. Take that and run with it. So Tilahun, that's my real name. But when I was 15 years old, I was in a youth group. We were playing soccer and they couldn't pronounce my name. This is the thing. I was always the only black guy in every space I went into. They couldn't pronounce my name. And they're like, can we give you a nickname? And I'm like, what is a nickname? Because I couldn't speak English at the time. And they said, it's not your real name, but it's a name we give you. And when you go back home, you're your real self, whatever that thing is. I'm like, well, that thing is Tilahun. They said, we can't pronounce that. And I don't blame them because some people have died trying to pronounce it. It's like, can you say, it's like, I'll give you a name, go, young man. Beep. Tilahun, right? They said, can we call you Michael? And I was like, no, I hated the name Michael. I said, no, Michael. There was a friend called Michael I wasn't getting along with. So I'm like, no, Michael. And they said, what about Joe? And I was like, yeah, I love Joe. Because at the time, I was listening to Joe Thomas, you know, the R&B and hip hop singer. You guys know he had that song, I Wanna Know. It goes something like this. It's amazing how you knock me off my feet. And he'd go up to the girl. He'd be like, hey, yo, what up, ma, in the video clip. Every time you come around me, I get weak. Baby, I'm the type of man who shows concern. I wanted to be Joe. And he'd go up to the chick, hey, yo, ma. And the video clip is of the girl getting broken up with by her man in front of Joe. And she's like, oh, my God, hi, Joe. And he's like, hey, yo, your man, that's your man there treating you bad like this. She's like, yes, that's my ex. And he's like, all right, here's my number. I'm going to take you out and we're going to have a good time, yeah? And she's like, oh, my God, thank you so much. I'm like, yeah, I want to be like that. But I know now as a grown-ass man, if I was to go up to a chick and do that, guess where I'm going to end up? Jail. Straight to jail. Do not pass go straight to jail. That's where I would end up. So I'm like, you know what? At the time, I didn't know it, but I'm like, Joe's so cool. I thought all that was like just his swag. I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to have that confidence because I didn't have that growing up. I was very quiet, you know, because I was always worried about what could go wrong and not like I didn't want to get sent back to where we came from. So I'm like, I better be a good boy. So, but when they said Joe, it gave me like some sort of confidence. So I'm like, yeah, I want to be Joe. So I went to school And they're like, what's your name? I'm like, I can't say Talahun because they won't be able to pronounce it and I'd get bullied. So I told a white lie. I said, my name is Joe. And they went, okay, cool, and left me. And then I was like, crap. Now I have to keep up this lie until I leave this school. And that was just in year 8, which meant every day I had to go up to the school teacher before she did the roll call and just whisper in her ear like, excuse me, miss, I know that says Talahun, but it's pronounced Joe. And she'll go, okay, Joe? I'll go, present. And everyone goes, yeah, you're cool. And I'm like, yeah, I look at them and I give them thumbs up like, hey guys, I'm one of you. Yeah, I'm cool, right? I had to keep up this white lie. Dude, all through high school, people will be like, what's your name, Joe? Every class, I would do that. At school, I would hide that I'm not, that I'm Joe and I'm not Talahun. And then when I go home, I would hide from my mom that I'm Talahun and not Joe, because otherwise she will give me an ass whooping, right? So I had to play this TikTok toe, whatever the saying is. I had to play that between my house and my school, right? And school kids are mean. I had to give them a nickname. If you don't give them a nickname, they'll give you one. I had a Somalian friend. His name was Abdul Qadir. And I'm like, bro, choose a nickname. And he said, no, I will stick with my real name, Abdul Qadir. You know what everyone called him? Abracadabra. He should have chosen a name. I was like, I'll take Joe. Thank you very much. So I was Joe and he was Abracadabra, right? All through high school, they're like, Joe, 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 Joe. And then the movie with Brad Pitt, Meet Joe Black, came out. And they were like, hey, you're the only black guy in school. You're Joe Black because you're black as well in the movie. Joe Black, Joe Black. And I'm like, who's Joe Black? They're like, Brad Pitt. I was like, hell yeah, I'm Joe Black, right? And then the movie Meet Joe Dirt came out with David Spade, and they're like, Joe Dirt? Was it Meet Joe Dirt or just Joe Dirt? I think it's just Joe Dirt. And it came out and they're like, hey, you're Joe Dirt now. And I was like, no, I don't want to be Joe Dirt. Have you guys seen that movie? He's got a mullet. I was like, I want to be Brad Pitt, not David Spade. They're like, no, you're Joe Dirt now. I'm like, no, I don't want to be Joe Dirt. And they kept trying to push that on me. And in my head, I was like, damn it, I should have gone with Michael. Could have avoided this whole situation. But I told a white lie. And then I took that when school finished, I took that white lie out of school and I took it to work as well. In work, when they're like, what's your name? I didn't want to say Talahun again because I just felt like, this is going to work against me. So I just said Joe. And then I took that to the workforce and I became Joe Halu. Before you know it, at 29, I added in the last name White, right? Because I'm like, what else can I do to bond with this audience? And the audience was predominantly white. Welcome to Australia, right? So I'm like, what can I do to bond with this audience? And I was like, I know, I'll change my last name to White, Just this need to constantly be accepted by white people in Australia. It's like, I know where it comes from now. This is not a therapy session. This is a podcast. But if you want to know where it comes from and the story, by all means, come to my show, right? But I'm like, I want to bond with my audience more. And so I changed my last name to White because I thought it would be funny when they say Joe White, I'll walk out. I'm a black guy and the audience is white. They'll see me and be like, yeah, that's funny, right? That was the dad joke that I had in mind when I did it. And I thought I was the only one doing this. But then we were backstage at a comedy competition. It was me and like 30 other comedians, right? And there was one other black guy there. He saw me and he comes up to me. He goes, hey, man. He's done the same thing. He goes, how long have you been white? And I was like, 3 months. And he goes, I've been white longer than you, man. I was like, we can both be white, right? Two traumatized adults talking. Meanwhile, the white comics are looking at us like, man, we would love to have their tan. We can go to the beach all day, right? But it's a white lie about my name that I told that's just gotten out of hand. Then I end up winning comedy competitions. I end up in article, TV, news. Before you know it, I'm like, I guess I'm Joe White. So now I'm doing this whole thing where I'm doing a whole show around going back to my real name, which is Talahun. But you can pronounce it with a T. Talahun, right? That was the white lie that I told that inspired this show. We've always told white lies. But I always tell white lies, especially when it comes to, parents who have newborns and they're like, oh my God, this is my baby. And you look at their baby and I always go, oh, your baby is so cute. Your baby is so delicious. Oh my God. Like I wouldn't dare to say anything negative about the baby because I know how much babies mean to the parent. But let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. Not every baby is cute. Some of them look like a potato. Some of them look like a cucumber. Not every baby is cute. My baby is cute. My partner, right, when she sees a baby that's not cute and I go, oh, the baby is so cute. She doesn't say, oh, the baby is so cute. She doesn't like to tell too many white lies. So she'll just go, oh my God, congratulations. Baby looks so healthy. That's it. But I'm there white lying the hell out of it. Oh, this is the cutest baby I've seen. This baby should be a model. You know those baby Bonds ads? That's where this baby should end up. We tell white lies all the time. We grew up telling white lies so we don't get in trouble. My mom, habitual white lie teller as well, right? African parents, they white lie, especially when it comes to English, right? My mom would be like, someone would go, do you speak English? And instead of saying no, she'll go, yeah, I speak English. Yeah, I speak, yeah. And then we'll be at the grocery store and she'll buy everything, right? And she'll need a bag and she'll need to say in English, can I please have a bag? Except she will say, please, can I have? And then instead of saying bag in English, guess what? She'll say it in the language we spoke at home, which was Arabic. Because we came from Sudan, so we spoke Arabic mainly, right? And in Arabic, you know what plastic bag is? Kiss. Kiss. That's not what it means in English. So she's there going, I buy. Now, can I please have kiss? Can you imagine the Asian grocery store owner looking at her going, what? She's like, I buy. Now I have kiss. And he's like, no kiss here. She's like, I buy. A very persistent woman. If she wants a kiss, she will get a kiss, right? She's like, I buy. I want kiss. He's like, no kiss here. No kiss. And she's like, I want kiss. And I'm there watching her like, you don't speak English at all, right? And she's like, I want kiss. He goes, no kiss. And then he calls his wife over. And his wife's like, what is the commotion? He goes, this woman, she wants a kiss. And his wife looks at my mom and she goes, you want a kiss? From him? No good. No good. I'm there explaining to them what a kiss is, right? And they're like, oh, so sorry. His wife was the best because she just looks at him and she goes, you old and stupid, and walks off. And poor my mom is so embarrassed. She grabs everything and just rushes off. Like we've always told white lies. When we go to family friend's house, right? And they go, did you eat? Here is some food. You know what? We say no. We say, no thanks. We've eaten already. Even though we're standing there with our stomach going, whoa, whoa. And we just look down and go, we're very full. Yeah, we had lots of water before we came here. We're very full. Thank you, though. Yeah, no, I swallowed a didgeridoo before I came here. That's what that noise is. I'm very full though. Thank you for offering. Meanwhile, you look at the food on the table and you're just staring at it like, hello, darkness, my old friend. I thought I was gonna have you in my stomach. And then you just hear, you have to say no, because if you say yes and you eat it and you have a delicious time, when you get back in the car, guess what you're getting? Smack. You're going to get the shit bit out of you for making your parents look bad. So we say no, even when we really want. We go, no, we've eaten. We're so full. We've always told white lies. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far and you enjoy my stand-up, come be a fly on the wall and listen in at all the white lie stories. Put us on in the background, all of that stuff, right? But be part of it so you can have some laughs. Who doesn't want to laugh? You don't like to laugh. If you say I don't like to laugh, that's a white lie. So come be part of the chaos. It's going to be fun.